Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to Bitcoin Altcoin Trading Talk. Apologies for the delay. Had a little sort of technical difficulties there. Everything's okay with Brian, so don't be alarmed. We're good to go. So thanks so much for watching, guys. This is episode 38. So yeah, we've been at this for a while. Pretty cool. What's 38 times 2? I can't do that math in my head. 76 weeks, technically. So a year and a half, right? Roughly. Not bad.
Yeah, about that.
Going deep.
Going deep, baby. So yeah, got a great show planned for you. As usual, my name is William Kale from Coinigy.com, and I don't have my lower third on, so let me add that real quick.
Weak.
Totally, I'm just dropping the ball here tonight. What can I say?
15
All this
minutes
extra
of dead
time.
air to put it on, and you're still just slacking
Yeah.
off. It's a good thing this isn't traditional radio or something. Just been
Yeah, no
listening
kidding.
to
Well, if it was traditional radio,
outer space.
I'd just edit everything out, edit all the awkward pauses out and everything. We just sound like we were humming along. But so as usual, I'm William Kale from Coinigy, and the young gentleman that was just speaking is Rob Borden from Coinigy as well. How's it going, Rob?
It's going well. I don't know if Brian, his cat, must have taken over the show for him instead, or whatever that was.
No, that was I think it was a puppy dog.
Oh, a puppy dog. There you go.
There's
Yeah.
a kitty.
Oh, good. There we go.
I'm just
Right.
talking.
So Brian Beamish, the cat channel investor. How you doing tonight?
Oh,
Man, what a pun.
Zing.
I'm trying to. How did you? Oh, here it is. I was just having fun with the machine here, trying to put my little.
The
name
machine.
Hey, I'm good. Hope
you know you're old school when you call a computer a machine.
So Alex, how's your machine treating you tonight?
It's running a little better, yeah. Like you guys were saying, my internet connection was a little nicer. I know last show it was kind of stormy out, so I couldn't see the satellites that I point my dish at. No, it's not that complex, but
You're what?
Oh man, this isn't the drinking show, guys.
yeah, no, that was fun.
You're
though.
coming through a lot smoother now, so that's awesome.
Cool. No, it's nothing to blame it on now. I can, say I'm all choppy or. I'm working on the wheel though, guys. I got a lot of submissions this week. A lot for waves.
Yeah, we got
Just
the
so you
waves,
guys know.
wave pump and dump crew.
Oh yeah, we seem to be getting like one coin every week where we get like 30 requests for it. I'm only putting it on the wheel once. Like if we get multiple requests, I don't think so. But no, it's kind of funny. Like waves was an interesting project. I don't know. The guy sent me some information on it. Let me read up on it because
Yeah, sounds good. So we'll let you finish up on the wheel there. All
right.
So I guess really as far as in the news, kind of a big undertaking right now. So Devcon 2 is going on. Where's that, in Hong Kong, I think, right?
Shanghai. It was in the main
Shanghai.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So a bunch of Ethereum devs are out partying it up and
That's
listening
this,
to
right?
fancy. Yep.
What's this? So
That be
in
it?
fact, I had one of my students said, "I'm going to be skipping class this week because I'm going to be at DevCon," and I was like, "What's that?" Sound like a total idiot, of course, but anyway. So I think we have a few of our people are at this, and yeah, and it's actually interesting. We have. I'm frankly, I mean, I never know what the hell's going to happen in this world, and I would have never expected in my lifetime to hear that a lot of people are moving to China because it's the land of opportunity. It's shocking, but I've had, in my crypto experience here, I've had probably at least a half a dozen of our people, our students, have moved to China. So it's
Yeah, it
quite
seems
cool.
really common in this industry.
Is it? Do you guys find that too?
Yeah, I mean, just from kind of personal interactions, not really, mostly anecdotal evidence, but yeah, I've known quite a few people kind of in this industry that, well, we mentioned it on the other show, kind of into that whole like nomad traveling lifestyle, that kind of stuff. So,
Oh, Okay. Well, anyway, so you know, if there's anybody out there, Alex, I think you we're passing along some interesting developments. Ethereum boys are hooking up with a bank in Spain or something like that.
Yeah, like they're having the first bank issue cash on their blockchain. So just so anyone who doesn't know, Devcon 2, it's actually the third Devcon. They started with Devcon 0 because they're a bunch of programming nerds.
Oh, jeez.
Isn't that funny?
But this one was actually sold out, so they have grown exponentially for sure. And I think since it was in China, they decided not to live stream it, or maybe they were expecting like some crazy Ethereum Classic people to crash the show or something. But we've seen some pretty cool news stories coming out. I got like 3 listed here of. Oh, now they're not loaded properly, but yeah, like, well, Vitalik joked around. It's like, yeah, we're gonna, you know, Ethereum's done. We're going back to Ethereum Classic.
Oh, jeez.
Everyone realized it was a joke and started laughing.
I didn't notice. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, we had been sort of talking recently about the absolute best thing that could happen for Ethereum is just get out of the spotlight. And I noticed for maybe about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month or so, it was just quieting down. And, you know, you can really see on the charts, you know, they're really trying to just sort of base this thing, just stabilize it. But I'm a bit surprised that today's action, like if we look at just the price chart, you know, I think what you had was basically a rally, you know, buy on the rumor on this DevCon starting, and now I guess we're getting a bit of a sell on the news. So I'm a little surprised there isn't any more further follow through, but it sure is nice to finally see this thing at least trying to stabilize here. It is still awfully nosebleedy, but you know, at least that's looking constructive now a little bit more. So.
Brian, can you pull up?
I think on a.
Go ahead, Alex. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, there's a lag too. So just so I don't interrupt you guys, but when I was looking at a lower time frame, I thought it would kind of look like head and shoulders kind of forming on it. Because it is kind of getting,
bottom.
Top, yeah, head and
shoulders. That's sort of like this little thing up here, you mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems to be pretty well timed with the conference, but I think today is the final day, so maybe there's some big news. Augur was presenting, and that's kind of the one everyone's buzzing about now because like it hasn't been trading, and it's been like a year or something since they've crowdfunded. So by ICO standards, that's usually kind of a good sign. You know, it means much more speculation and price to go up.
I remember hearing you talking about that Augur for quite a bit. You were pretty jazzed about that, eh?
Yeah, like prediction markets is a huge thing right now. Well, like futures markets can even kind of have some interest as well. That's another thing that kind of launched too was on BitMEX. They have zero cash trading, so it's this project that everyone's buzzing about. Like people are going crazy, like building massive server operations to start mining it. But it's already trading a month before it launches on BitMEX, and it might be an interesting chart for you to look at actually, because it's what's it called? It's up to like $50 now. It's kind of ridiculous.
What's the symbol?
It'll be on
ZEC, I think.
Yeah, or ZEC, depending on where you are.
Sorry, I don't speak Canadian, guys.
BitMEX or YoBit?
Yeah. No,
I'll go on BitMEX. BitMEX only has the futures market, so you can't actually trade, you know, spot ZEC yet.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what you're talking about? This BitMEX ZEC16? I guess was that a December 2016 contract or something like that?
Yeah, it expires December, so like this will be trading or all the way through the launch, and then after like a month of mining, or a month and a half. That'll be kind of interesting.
Well, it just jumped right out of the gate, and now it's just kind of chopping sideways here, right? So is this it? You know, I'm not that familiar with this story, so but wasn't this one of the stories that you interviewed recently on your show? That sounds familiar.
Yes, I talked to a mining operation on Monday. These guys are like building a server farm. So they like mined a similar currency, Monero, which is kind of, it's like Bitcoin, very similar, but it has a whole new architecture that allows for like anonymous addresses. Like, so it's like, Brian, if I gave you my Bitcoin address and I say, yeah, that you can pay me with this, you'll be able to see exactly how much like money I have in my savings account. So that just won't work for a lot of people. So this one allows you to like have like a hidden balance, so you can't have like coins being traced through the chain.
Okay.
That's something.
And that's like Monero?
Yeah, Monero is the other one that rocketed recently, and I think that's kind of in response to this project launching. Like, if I had to guess,
yeah, it did move up quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think I even put out like tweets and stuff, and I kind of said, we should just, let's put what's going on in the market into perspective. We can see where the double bottoms are here, and here we are way up here. I had, all my traders and stuff. We had lots of little sort of trading algos fire. This is on Bittrex. Where, I guess on Polo, maybe that's a little bit.
Yeah, they have it on margin on Polo, so you'll get a pretty good.
This looks slightly different than what I was thinking. Yeah, because I remember, okay. All right, yeah, anyway, there is, okay, yeah, now I remember this. So we have this nice little double bottom and the market's working its way higher. And if I'm not mistaken, we can go back up here. And if we just get a simple counter trend rally back up into normal resistance, I think you see it. In fact, I think it's even 50% level. Let's go. Look at it. I'm just zipping around Coinigy chart. I love these charts so much.
Yeah, they're working good now. I know you
Yeah,
guys
I was going to mention that too. Maybe I should really quickly. So we had a major breaking issue with, and it was only affecting Mac OS X users on Chrome 53 and above. And for whatever reason, it had to do with like a CSS element. So there's some bug that was introduced in Chrome 53 for OS X. So beware, anybody who's using absolute positioning anywhere pretty much on your site. I don't know if it has to be within a containing div or something like that. But you need to have both a left and a right position element along with it. Otherwise, it's going to completely freeze up your site, and there's going to be no errors in console, and it's going to cause a whole ton of headaches. So we've spent basically the last 2 days debugging that. We got it narrowed down to like a little tiny chunk of code, and then found something online where somebody else had a similar issue, and they further narrowed it down to basically absolute position. We fixed that issue. So if you've been having problems signing into Coinigy on OS X with Chrome, you should be good to go now. Just one thing to mention, if you are able to sign in, you might want to do a Command R to do kind of a hard refresh just to be safe. And yeah, that's it. Go back, Brian. We're good. Sorry.
All right. Okay, so I just when I look at a chart like this, and I actually had a long talk with the site people today in the video, the daily brief on this. This is such a good example of just simply, you guys, have we ever talked about those institutional fingerprints? There's basically, if we think that the smart money makes money a lot of the time, and the public loses money a lot of the time, and the public loves to buy up markets and sell down markets, then that must mean that maybe the institutions do the exact opposite. And so if we take that sort of approach, then if we sort of assume that the institutions are going to do the exact opposite of what the public is doing, then maybe what they're doing is they're the ones that are putting bottoms in these assets off of these lows, and as the public is dumping. And so I often suggest to people, especially if you're trying to trade rather than just buy and hold little old lady kind of investing, but if you're actually going to trade, then, and I didn't do a very good job here, I'm just sort of talking on the fly. You'll notice that prior to this big run up here, we can actually identify the areas where technically somebody said, no more down, you go up. Right down in here, somebody stopped the selling, and they brought the market down here again and again. And do you notice all these sort of like WEs type trying to form in here? Down, up, down, breakout kind of thing. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's maybe do a pretty color that you can see. Okay. Nope, let's go a little brighter.
Yeah, you can kind of see it in the first box you drew there.
Right. Not the best line. Yeah. But anyway, down, up, down, then another W, down, up, down. In essence, this is our floor, right? And you might even say that based off of this battle zone here, right? This down, up, down. I mean, this is where the bull and bear had the big fight, and the bulls won. And so really what we could look back on this in hindsight when prices up here and say, well, where did the institutions, the whales, the smart money stop the selling? Because if it was up to the public, they would have just sold, and if the selling just kept going, then the price would have just kept going down. But somebody said, no more down. So what's interesting is if we sort of keep that level in mind, and this is what I suggest to you guys watching, is if you are trading, and that's your trading, and you're trading your hunting setups, you're looking for trades, you are okay with, Bill, in your trading plan, you have 2 to 1, let's say roughly, as sort of like your minimum acceptable trade setup. And so now, if I run a trading plan where I've got 2 to 1s, technically, if I'm right only 50% of the time, I'm wrong half the time of my trading, I'm still a scratch trader. And, basically we're shooting to try and be right 60, 70% of the time, which means that if I just keep banging out these 2 to 1s, then on balance, if I just play the statistical model, I should come out ahead. So if you are inclined to trade, this is a great way of looking at it. We could even, to a certain degree, even just say, well, okay, what happens if we do like a reload zone off of this range? And you notice that we could, trading wise, justify really concentrating down in this area. Anywhere in here, we can just, start to think about being a buyer. And then what I suggest, in my classes, and I think all of you guys, it's a good idea, is we do things like start to hunt for signs of divergence when we get in that zone. And I love the MACD histogram for signs of divergence. So I'm just going to try and highlight this. Let's see if I can do this. So you notice how price came down, right? And we were trying to put in a bottom here, real fight in here. Not the cleanest of bottoms, and this kind of reminds me of Factum when we had that sort of first initial bottom and then that failed, and then the next bottom comes in, and this one it's just yet another trade. Hopefully you can see, as price was coming down here, making new lows, momentum indicators were not making new lows, and so you could have started going into sort of the hunting mode. Especially look at this cute little divergence right in there, where we made new lows, and then we just launched out of there, which confirms this double bottom. And as I said, I love W's. It's just one sort of trade setup tool where I'm just going to buy the break through the middle part of the W, and I'm going to risk to a move against the lows of the W. And so you can see as this trade's just sort of working away. And right now it's up a little bit even after a big rally that almost hit the objective, but really, I would argue probably just leave this thing alone and just see which way this goes. It's not a bad-looking little trader. The problem here, and let's just make sure, call this a spade, is we're not, we're in my opinion, we're definitely in nosebleed territory. And these lows could very easily fall. So this is not investment territory, right? And, again, thinking M's and W's, and now we're off the higher time frames, we just need to appreciate, and if we sort of apply that same principle of those, institutional fingerprint kind of idea, well, you can see that ultimately way back, just even back in the spring there, right? The whales, the smart money, they put in the lows, down in this area. So make no mistake, there's lots and lots of risk in being an investor here. I could see, and I do have a few people in our community that took this trade, just buying off of the lows here. But if this thing craps out, they're out of there. All right, I don't know whether that explains what I'm thinking here on XMR, but I think it's a good example of how late we are in the season here. All right, I've left everybody speechless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to add to that.
What I see here, and this is what bothers me, is that I see a lot of people coming to the altcoin market now, because we just had a new term that started up in September, and they're thinking that we're in the same sort of market state we were coming, in this area.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if I can add too, I saw somebody just signed onto our chat box. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but they're like, hey, I'm looking to drop €1,000. I'm going to put 50% into XMR, 25% into something else, and 25% into something else.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, just judging by this chart, like you said, a little bit late to the party on this.
And that's
half
probably
of your portfolio in.
That's the best way to describe that, right? I mean, you might argue, and if we look at my Bitcoin charts and stuff, I'm talking about how Bitcoin is in this sort of hangover mode after the big halving event rally party. I might argue that, exactly where is this exhausted? Elliott Wavers might even say, 1, 2, 3, this is actually done. We don't need to get into Elliott Wave today, but the long and short of it here is, for investors, there's very, little old lady followers, people that love to follow, and keep in mind the seasonality, right? This isn't really the best time of year for us to be getting too aggressive in the market anyway. I think, what levels do I have on here? Something. Colors.
This seems fairly well timed with like this other coin being released, this Zcash. I think it's kind of in response to that. They wanted to, I guess, put more of a premium on it. So a lot of these coins are on like Poloniex. Like there's very little supply out in the chain.
Well, even that Zcash, I didn't even see it on Polo, right? It's
not being traded for a while because it hasn't launched
and
yet.
Is Bittrex is kind of like, remember that what was it? I think it was. That was a front runner to the ETH trading vehicle.
Oh, you mean way back in the day, the early Ethereum
kind of token? Like 2 years ago, forever ago, right?
Yeah.
Are those little futures contracts? Are they like a derivative of something that's going to be traded down the road, kind of thing?
Yeah, like they are futures contracts because there is leverage on them. Like the one you're thinking of was kind of like a token, like a 1-for-1 token of Ethereum. Someone had a lot of Ethereum bought in the pre-sale. He said, "Here, let's do some price discovery on it." I imagine Arthur, the guy who runs BitMEX, has something similar going on. He thinks he's going to have a certain amount of price. So he created a marketplace to allow price discovery before the network even launches. So it could be really interesting. Because there's going to be a serious liquidity problem when that coin launches. Think of it's like Bitcoin launching today. So you're going to have like all this hype and not a lot of coins being created initially, but 4 years of the coins being created at the same rate before 50% of the supply is out. It's gonna that's a long time for like the kind of the hype to die off. So I have a hard time seeing it kind of sustain whatever price it launches at. Like it will probably be a pretty crazy winter for Zcash, and then like eventually people lose interest, or they there's a lot of coins that have to be taken in.
So, Alex, not knowing really much of anything about Zcash because I'm buried in Coinigy stuff 24/7, can you kind of give us a little synopsis? I mean, what are the features? What's so good about it? Why would BitMEX, for example, be caring right now, putting so much weight in it?
There is a lot of investors and I guess quite a team building it. So it's had like several years or several months of kind of investment to build this new algorithm out that allows for like complete anonymity. Like the system, it kind of fixes like Bitcoin's problem of being 100% public. You can actually have private ownership on the chain.
So as far as kind of like tracing transactions and that kind of thing?
Yeah, like a transaction, like the analogy that I heard on doing an interview with some guys hosting a pool, it's like a poker table, you know, like you own chips in the pot, but nobody when you take them out, like nobody knows who like got them, I guess. Where like Bitcoin, you see the same coin move to a new address, move to a new address. This one's like, okay, coin went in, you know, different coin comes out. It's like the entire supply is a mixer, so it's kind of like random.
So it's almost like people go into a big shared pool and then it's settled afterwards, as opposed to just a one-to-one transfer.
Yeah, it's called zero knowledge proofs, and then Monero uses something similar / different, which is like ring signatures. It all comes down to like mixing the entire supply, or not having tracing through the chain. So it's pretty cool stuff, and they actually announced that they're working with Ethereum. Like there's going to be interoperability. Like they'll be able to have.
What's that symbol again?
Zcash. It's ZEC.
Oh, that's what I couldn't figure out. Sorry. All right, so, you know, I do see that it launched itself out of the gate, right? Whoa.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe what we have to do is when the hype sort of settles down, we have to come in, fill in the gaps. You know, who knows what's going on down the slower time frames here, right? But I don't know. That's you can see that it was bid up right out of the gate. So.
And the price is going to be a factor of mining. Like this will be a good coin for you guys to add analytics to, because the hash rate is going to be very closely tied to the price. Because we don't know if like some massive mining operations in China with very low electricity costs, they make the difficulty really high, then they're the only ones who can mine at a profit. So all of us here in the States, you know, paying for our local housing power, or maybe there's some lucky people who have a solar panel. But you're going to have like, I think it's going to be cruising on like this fine profitability line. We'll kind of see after the initial hype dies.
And really, it's not even alive yet.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. There's just so much money and hype already around this coin, and that's
why. Remember,
we've
seen this happen a few times now, right? Remember that Lisk, and wasn't that was Yobit? So actually, Yobit's back in the mix here too, again on this one as well. Right?
Well, the Yobit market. Go to the Yobit. Click on Yobit one.
I don't know what this is.
Yeah, it's not Zcash. It's something else, like checks or something.
But
what was that one that we were talking about recently, about how it should bottom and we should be loading up on it because of the hash rate, and we noticed that the numbers started to correspond? Was that LBC, that library?
Oh yes, yeah. Library, and library.
Well, actually, I just got filled. Actually, I just bought some more library credits today. I have to do this blog write up today.
It's fighting at 20,000 pretty hard. Like that's where the line in the sand seems to be drawn. Is 20, or is it 20,000, 200,000? It's a 2 and a couple zeros.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, hopefully long-time watchers of this show, and you know, for those people that are cataloging these shows, right? We did the library recently. We'll do it again here. This is sort of, you know, the area I'm willing to take, you know, risk against, right? So can't touch it, can't touch it, can't touch it, comes back down into sort of support, starts putting in friendly letters of the alphabet. I'd just be curious to see what your little the mining algorithm is that you were watching, how it's behaving.
Yeah, I want to see actually what block number they're on, because I imagine they're getting really close to the reward starting to reduce, like very linearly. Like it's supposed to be very smooth. There's not halvings. It's just like a very fine decay.
Yeah. So anyway, for the viewers, I think we wrote up, we had talked about this recently, and hey, I put my money where my mouth is. I went and bought some of this today. So it's just interesting to see, you know, and the interesting thing is nobody's talking about this library credits in the market right now, eh? You know, they're talking about your Zcash, right? And unfortunately, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't, I don't know. But I couldn't touch this with a 20-foot pole right here, right? You know, I'm just not allowed to buy this. This is too dangerous.
This is like the same as that list that was trading on YoBit. Like it was an IOU, it hadn't launched yet, so it was like, what are you really trading? You're trading.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. That's like that ETC and then the YoBit list experience.
Yeah,
There's been a few of these, eh? And I guess
Yeah, like,
you know, this is Wild West capitalism. Like that really shouldn't surprise us.
these are technically
I
securities.
mean, I have to
right?
say it's pretty cool though. I mean, where else can you trade on something that doesn't even exist yet? And you're just, I mean, I guess it does exist kind of in other markets, but
talk about it. How do you actually put a net tangible on? Like, is this actually an asset? Like, you couldn't actually physically touch any of these things, eh? Isn't that freaky?
Yeah, it's pretty scary. But hey.
Well, what makes this one kind of different and interesting is that it's not an ICO though. Like you don't have this initial liquidity. Like people aren't able to purchase it. So like nobody knows what the network's gonna be, and like there's only like a set supply. So that's maybe one of the benefits of doing an ICO, and maybe actually YoBit was probably a bit more legitimate than this one is because someone working at YoBit or who worked with YoBit said, I own this much list that I bought in the pre-sale. Let's trade it. And that's what happened with ETC. At that point, it kind of becomes a security though, right? Because it's you have to promise the delivery of those coins.
Well, it can be, but you know, let's call a spade a spade. This is very loosey goosey when it comes to honorability. You know, how many different scandals do we have to make reference to, right? I mean, you know, the audience should be fully cognizant, and I counsel people this, and this is just my honest 2 cents. Investing in crypto, especially like what we're going through with Bittrex right now, with all this delisting and stuff like that. This is very, very speculative stuff, guys. No doubt about it. You know, you know, investing in altcoins and playing this kind of cryptocurrency market is on the more riskier end of the risk spectrum if we were thinking about playing the market. So please understand that, anybody getting involved in this. Now, I appreciate that, you know, Alex has bought into the model. He believes, and that's awesome. And I think over time that will grow. And I think, you know, my hunch is that Bitcoin is nearing getting, you know, sort of accepted as a you know, an actual commodity asset that may be traded on major exchanges. I mean, gee whiz, how long do we have to wait for these silly ETFs to come along to trade?
Yeah.
Is the Winklevoss the ETF trading yet?
No, but they did launch. I saw it might have been yesterday. They launched basically daily Bitcoin auctions, which is kind of like an over-the-counter
thing. Yeah, that's
an
interesting spin, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was curious to hear what your thoughts on that were, Brian. I mean, I'm not really I'm not understanding really what I guess the impact is. Is it basically just for large players or something? You know, large trades.
Brian, I haven't. I mean, I don't mean to be rude. I have not looked into it in that much detail. I did see some headlines to that effect that there was one particular exchange, and is that the Winklevoss's exchange? They're
Gemini.
Yeah, and they're planning on. I guess what they run a mining pool. Do they have access to Bitcoin? So they being like fed Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, you're right. That might be more what it is. For some reason, I was thinking it was more like just another market, like an over-the-counter market or something. I don't know. What do you think about it, Rob? I remember we were talking about it.
When I read it, I thought that it was more like a high minimum order over-the-counter market that because they put this weird little blurb in the beginning about how like they were trying to bring stability to the exchanges because the exchanges don't have access to the same kind of settlement instruments as traditional financial markets. And I think what they were trying to say is that instead of smaller exchanges basically doing settlement through someplace like Bitfinex when they need more Bitcoin or they need US dollars, they could use this OTC market instead. It was supposed to have lower fees and stuff as well.
Someone in chat,
a set time for settlement, basically.
Gotcha. Someone in chat also just said they explain it clearly on their website. It's to give buyers and sellers the best price or an average of all the bids. There's an example at the bottom of the Gemini announcement. You guys are completely off.
There you go.
Well, I read that same thing. That's what I took from it. That's where I got it from. So
yeah, I mean,
probably maybe just a misinterpretation of what they said, but I read their example that they put on that press release. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert at any of that stuff. So I don't even have an opinion. So viewers that are interested, my recommendation is go do your due diligence, and over the coming week or so, week or two, we'll probably get more and more familiar with what's going on over there. I guess really just my comment is we're waiting, and it's happening at sort of a snail's pace, and it's this Gemini. That's what you're talking about. This is sort of the Winklevoss's exchange. Is that what we call Gemini? Have I got the right exchange on here?
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess just my point is, where are they getting the Bitcoins to do these auctions?
I imagine it's probably like miner cells too. It's like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right?
Yeah, like that's what a lot of, I think, the actual volume in Bitcoin is OTC of miner selling. It's like people want to buy a whole block reward and have it be like kind of almost like a note, like a ticket or whatever of like, this is 25 BTC, like, like that's how they're being traded. So at that point you can maybe make I don't know, keep more off chain. Like you could have this as a physical coin or something, and that's what they're trading. So
yeah, like wasn't one of these big down candles here attributed to some guy who was selling like 600 Bitcoin and he just hit the market? It was just like a market sell order. Do you guys remember that? I think that's what caused this cascade or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there was like a huge,
it was just like one guy was trying to liquidate 600 Bitcoins or something.
Yep.
So maybe that auction process, it might alleviate sort of the short-term shocks if somebody needs to move, block sizes. That's not, I can understand it. Sure. All right. Cool. I wouldn't mind getting your guys's. I suppose Coinigy probably doesn't have a lot of comment, but I do notice that you talk with Bittrex guys, Alex, a bit. I think you're pretty friendly with him. How's the whole delisting issue going? Like in yours, like your Jumbox Slacks, are you finding, like, I guess where I'm going with this is I found that it almost feels like heading into this event, it's almost becoming a bit of a catalyst for a lot of these alts. And I can almost feel, especially on the sort of more venture side, because that list of delisting, that's a fairly robust list. Well, I can almost feel the air coming out of the altcoin market.
I wouldn't like take any of those on that list, like personally. It could just be a timing thing. Like Bob was generating enough volume to be considered be tradable. It's just whatever happened to be.
I've gone through and I've calculated averages and how much Bitcoin's traded today and what the ratio is, and I just can't get my head around it. The math doesn't make sense to me.
I think Bill's going to be doing this more regularly. So this is just the first time that he just like ran a query. It's like, okay, this week, how many have been below 0.2 Bitcoin average? And 0.2 Bitcoin is like $120. That's all that has to be traded every day. That's like 30 cents in fees. It's all fairly
pretty minimum threshold.
Right. There was one that I tweeted out earlier today, and I think what they did was they just basically tried to bang through enough volume to meet that level. But then I put this tweet out earlier today, and somebody said, yeah, but it can't be just like the coin operators buying. It has to be some, I don't know. Did you hear anything along those lines, Alex?
Well, Yeah, like Bill says you're not supposed to be able to trade account to account, but there's nothing stopping you. Like that's considered, I guess, bad practice. Like if you were caught doing that in the stock market, I think you would actually get in trouble. Doing self sells and self buys. But
are you kidding me? They do that all the time in the bloody market. Those are they're called crosses.
Okay.
So and especially in the junior stock market, they do that all the time.
So yeah, and all they're really doing is paying a fee to like draw some volume on the chart, right? Like
right. So I guess just as if I read the Bittrex warning like this VPN, I think this is an example of one. On the screen, I look at the volume, I do the calculation, and my 7-day average says that this thing's trading at about 0.3 BTC on a 7-day average, because they went in, I guess, and banged through some volume here. And I guess just my question is, how, and if Bittrex is watching this and Bill and all that, is there some sort of like real-time updating system? I have a lot of people in my chat room that are like, okay, is this one still on the shit list? Is this one, it's done the volume? Or is it okay? Do we just assume going into the event that every single coin on that list is potentially delistable on a, is there, that kind of stuff?
Well,
there's a little bit of confusion, and if anything, I'm going to use you, Alex, as my conduit to Bill, that maybe we could do this process a little bit friendlier.
Yeah, I'll let them know. Like I talk to Bill regularly, but these aren't like delisting notices, they're market notices. Like, yo, this thing hasn't been doing a lot of volume. It's kind of looking a little slow. If it continues to do this and we don't hear from the dev or something, like to start off with, it was just whenever a chain was acting up, like, yeah, your blockchain stopped.
And I can understand those. We had one of those recently, and actually when I saw the notice, it said that there was a problem with the chain, and I just said, fuck it, we don't need to take a chance here, and I just cleaned everything up, excuse my French. So I can totally appreciate that. It's these ones that it's traded 0.2 BTC, or it has to trade over this 7-day period, and it's kind of in sort of gray area. And if anything, we were on the site, we were commenting that it would be great if the Bittrex people could just add a column. Are you showing that list? Is that what you're showing?
This is the status page. Yeah.
If they could just add like a little column here that current 7-day average is this level, and it's not meeting that 0.2 BTC. I mean, you can see how thick that list is, eh?
Yeah, and like I'm not seeing anything here that I'm just like, man, how come that's there? Like, what the hell? Like, no, these are all kind of like low-level projects, and I think they even have that on their homepage now. They have a low liquidity tab, so like these aren't things you should be jumping out and say, yeah, we gotta buy that. Like, these are
really?
Kind of like
Maxcoin is on there. Are you kidding me?
It's a pretty big list. There is some on there. Like,
yeah, that is. This is the first time I've seen it.
There's Bob. AM was a pretty popular one. That 8-bit, that was pretty popular. So I mean,
you gotta realize, look how many like pairings they have. Like they have like chains that aren't working too. They have all these pairs that they maintain. So they're just it's a good percentage of the market. It's definitely bigger than what we've seen before. But this is a very long list. Like you're dealing with, they have so many, I guess, upkeep costs. So it's just like, you know what, guys, all we want is 30 cents in fees every day. And Bill's kind of said we're going to be doing this, notifying more regularly, and we're probably going to be increasing the minimum. So they might have to generate 50 cents in fees or $1 in fees every day. Which, if you're a developer who got on this exchange early on, you're gonna have to work to maintain that, because like anyone who wants to get on Bittrex has to pay 3 Bitcoins. Like they're a business, right? They have costs. They have to keep their operation going, and people need to be paid. So if your your favorite like low liquidity, or like your favorite Brian play is on this list, and you're like, man, how could they do that to me? They're totally screwing with my trades right now. It's like, well, you got to realize what you're buying too. Like this kind of goes back to
that MND. There's that one that I think that was the one that I recently flipped out. But anyway, it's a fairly big list, and you're absolutely right. This is venture capital. You got to know what you're getting involved with here. And for God's sakes, if you're going to buy any of these public, when they do move, make sure to pay yourself. All right, don't be sitting just holding bags. If these things move, make sure to pay yourself.
Because I think all of these are under like 50K market cap. Like these are the $5 play kind of coins.
Yeah, yeah. And what's interesting I find in my account is, these things go up, and it's usually, like I've got a list of like 10 pages long of these altcoins. Where's my list? And most of these ones that are in the shitter, they're trading at almost no valuation anyway.
Here we got Paycoin. That definitely needs to be delisted.
All right, so yeah, I'm up to I'm at 11 pages. I wouldn't be surprised that I will attempt to move a bunch of these coins off. I don't think it's a good idea to take the chance just to see what Bittrex will do with them.
Well, and there'll be a formal notice too. Like these aren't delisting notices. They'll be like, yo, these guys aren't doing it. We're making the choice to not.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. It's good to know that, because I was not aware of that. So you're telling me that this isn't sort of the final, on Friday, if it's not there, poof, it's gone. You're telling me there's going to be a bit more notice of these things.
That's what they say here. It's like it may be removed. Like they want to hear more contact from the developers. So if you go on Bitcoin Talk and say, like, Euro has not anything on their thread in months, the developer is no longer there, they're not generating any volume, maybe their chain still works, but like the people running the chain don't even want to make volume. Well, at that point it's being delisted. So you can see the normal tags on all of these. There's 2 disabled ones, but
okay, great example was remember last year we went and bought a bit of that Tron. And it kind of died a horrible death, right? So that's probably another excellent example. If you have one of these broken coins where the chain actually is broken, that coin just may be dead, eh? And I tried to get the Tron off of Bittrex, and it just disappeared. I don't even know where the hell the damn coins are now. So please, audience, understand there is a very real risk about this when trading these cryptocurrencies.
Yep.
Wheel.
So some of those coins are actually on this wheel. I know INFX is on the wheel, Influx. So maybe we'll get lucky and it'll come up again. But
and
is waves on? Can you add waves for me?
Actually, this is a good commentary. It's very much like the stock market today. I was interested. There were a few stocks that were setting up in some interesting levels, but we had the FOMC meeting today, and we just have an old adage in the stock market: don't ever put on a trade ahead of the FOMC. And sure enough, FOMC came out, and within an hour after the announcement, they had literally launched the market higher. So kind of similar tone. If you are trading altcoins and you are very interested in these, and one of these names that we talk about tonight happens to be on Bitterex's shit list, my advice is probably a good idea just to wait till that event passes before you go and risk your hard-earned money. And then, of course, also, too, please understand that seasonally, we're really, really late in this cycle. I think because of the halving event, because of the nuances of the ETC sort of stuff in the spring, this cycle kind of got pushed back a little bit, but we are very, very late in the season here.
Yeah,
I won't say anything more. What's first on the hit list?
I spun the wheel. We got landed on HUE. Yeah.
HUE. And this H as a Terry Uncle Edward.
Yep. Hugh.
Hugh Hefner coin.
Okay. HUE. You guys see my screen, right? I type it in here and I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, it looks like maybe we don't list that one.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I got it wrong from the Twitter.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing Hugh anywhere.
Maybe HEU?
Maybe that was that humongous joke has been going around the internet. Maybe somebody's trolling us.
I do see that a lot of guys are getting really excited about that Titcoin. So maybe that's maybe you guys were saying Hugh Hefner or something. Maybe
people are perking up.
Well, hey, just check out the tits. Excuse my French. There are more than one of these coins out, right? So we can say plural. But look at that. What a pretty chart. And nobody's really talking about this thing. I had one site member, he sent me a message saying, hey, pay attention to your boobs. So something, you know, it is an interesting little name down here. Crazy ass action. But, you know, maybe work stink bids off of this 130, 140, 150 area right in here. And you might be able to pick up some cheap coins. Big old tails and wicks. At some point, this thing might pop up top here. So not a bad looking little one. I don't think this is on the shit list, is it? 49 million out, fairly robust. And actually, this is an interesting comment. We should probably take a moment and talk about this. In the stock market, we have a number of fundamental screening tools. You know, if anybody's interested, we have these models CANSLIM, C-A-N-S-L-I-M, developed by a guy named William O'Neill, founder of Investor Business Daily. Very smart gentleman, very wealthy. And it's a specific screener to basically tell you, find this, 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 and this, and you probably get a good looking trade. And then I was taught an old model when I used to work on the Vancouver Stock Exchange, the VSE, same sort of thing. Find this, 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 and this in venture cap names, you'll do great. And what's interesting about these stock models is that both of them look for stocks that have about 20 some odd million shares out. And I kind of noticed there's a little bit of a recurring theme here in crypto, in that if you have too few coins out, and some of these names that we're interested in, they got like 1 million coins out, 500,000 coins out, 2 million coins out, and their market caps are so small that potentially we go through these sort of Bittrex issues. I do find that in crypto, and I've sort of seen this, when coins seem to have, you know, a chunky number of coins out, they have a better odds of not running into those Bittrex shit list kind of ideas. So it's something to mull over. You know, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan. Somebody showed me today, hey, Brian, what do you think of this coin? Had 4.7 billion coins out. And I'm like, oh, God, that's heavy. But, you know, like when you look at something like this tip with 50 million out, this isn't bad. And they've actually got a bit of a story behind the coin. So I can, in crypto land, be comfortable with this many coins out. Obviously, I'm not overly excited about when they go up into the billions. And if you do run across a coin that's only got like 1 million, 2 million, whatever coins out, just as Alex said before, you got to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, maybe this market cap is a little bit too small and they actually just don't have anything going. And so please, you know, if you're watching this and you're looking at the really low coin counts out, please understand that in this world, there actually is potentially the problem of being too small. So something I wanted to mention to you guys.
What was the story behind Titcoin, Brian? You said there was a story, or did you
I don't know what the you know, my hunch is that they're probably getting ready for some big promotion. It's interesting. We had a one of the students in the level 1 program. This guy Joe. I'm just so stunned. This guy's just it's beautiful, you know, dealing it with the public, as you see so many different perspectives of trading. This guy just seems to have a natural bent for trading alts. So hats off to him. And he's told me some stuff about his life. You gotta, you know, hats off to you. Tiger, if you're watching, you know, I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. So just keep on keeping on. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that we're seeing a lot of these little crypto, and, you know, we're trading, right? And we're like, hey, we want to buy low, sell high, right? But this is sort of where the rubber meets the road. Why would a coin like this, Titcoin, and one that Joe was telling us about recently was a coin that's used in the video games. I think it was even Digi we were looking at. And he was saying that, well, you know, if you actually go on the site and you see when they're, you know, doing in-game promotions, is it Digi that's used in the video games?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're doing some back-end stuff like hosting servers or something.
Maybe it's not Digi. Anyway, Tiger, if you're watching, let me know what that coin was, because that was a really good story. And we just walked through the chart, and he said, well, you know, when they pumped the coin here, this was when they were doing a promotion. And then they brought it back down, and then sure enough, here was the next promotion. And it was almost clockwork. And so it was a great example of sort of fundamentals meet technicals, right? What is the fundamental reason for the stock or the coin rallying? We knew momentum, divergence, reload zone, blah, 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 right? But what was the actual reason for the coin to go up? And it turns out that it was a very realistic fundamental story. They were doing a promotional campaign. I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of what's going on with TIT here, is that, if we went in the news and figured out what the heck made this thing pop here, is probably something promotional wise, brought. Quite often I see a lot of these little stories, especially venture cap, all they need to be is mentioned. Remember we had that Nautilus coin, NAUT?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's doing some interesting stuff.
All it took was the developer to be interviewed on CNBC, and that, launched the coin higher, right? So sometimes it can just be a really simple news interview, right, being brought to the public's attention. I've noticed, especially, and it makes sense to me with these altcoins, that it's probably something to do with some sort of promotion. That's sort of my hunch, but exactly specifically what's going on here, I don't exactly know.
Well, I found out the developer, or at least the original developer of Titcoin is also the original developer for Potcoin, and then also the original developer or leader, head honcho of Cabbage. They're all the same guy, but yeah, as most people who watch Block Talk know, I kind of busted, I guess, Cabbage for what he was doing. And the show happened right here, and then it's just been crashing down. And speaking of small,
what's the symbol?
CAB, CAB.
And was that fairly? Oh, this is on Yobit.
Yep.
So Brian, if you ever have a chance, watch Alex's interview with the Cabbage developer. It's insane.
You'll get a good laugh.
There's a train wreck.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, he crashed the tractor. Let's put it that way. But he's not even logging in the Yobit anymore to do any trades on it. And it's down to like $1,100 market cap. Like it's.
Well, I did hear that I mean, the Titcoin, from what I understand, the online pornography guys have sort of fallen in love with it as sort of a payment vehicle. So that was my impression of the Titcoin. I think the original story.
See, that was the sales pitch that he had for Potcoin too. It was just like, oh yeah, like all these dispensaries.
Did you just see that CAB just ticked up here? Your guy probably just went in and bought some to try and tick it up here.
Oh, I imagine somebody just watches every show we talk, like whatever we talk about, they put a $5 bid on. But yeah, and then this coin here. Oh, this is a coin for farmers to use. I'm like, well, why won't they use Bitcoin? It's like, we're doing better marketing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's happened? Well, look at Pot. It's trying to get respectable again. That's not a bad looking chart. Look at that, actually. That's actually looking quite pretty. Look at that. I mean, we got some nice W. Look at that beautiful W right in there.
Yeah, I'm not saying like he doesn't paint a nice chart or the guy's not a good trader. Like he just market makes, I think. But like, yeah, he does promotions, and like that's really all the chain has going.
So, and this is actually, something with that Bittrex. I thought that CNN was really, or CCN. I thought this was like the cat's pajamas in marijuana coin land, but I guess not, eh? Like, Bittrex is getting ready to kick them off. So.
Yeah, I think they're just like they want to add coins, so that means they also want to remove coins. But Bill has stated clearly that he doesn't like removing coins. He just wants, if the developer's not talking to him anymore, he doesn't want to.
And that's totally understandable. I'm not beating up on Bill whatsoever. I just I find it interesting that P looks like that. Hold on a second here. Go away. Somebody's calling me right now. I'm right in the middle of something, so I'm not going to be able to talk.
I love this show.
There you go.
Hey, Alex, you should go pop on over to the wheel while Brian's on the phone before you.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, I spun it and got Ripple XRP.
We kind of looked at that already.
Ripple looks. I was going to go and buy some of that crap today. That's a really good looking chart.
I don't know. It's a centralized company. They have a lot of the supply. Nobody really knows what they're doing with it.
Well, if I understand correctly, and this is my interpretation, is that, and I'm not quite sure about this tail right here. Not interesting. I don't see this tail on other platforms. That goes right down to 0. I don't think that's correct.
That is most likely not correct. We'll have to take a look at that. I'm taking a note here.
What I noticed was they brought it down here, and this is where the big announcement that the banks were getting out of this coin, and the price went shooting up into here, and I think it was just basically an opportunity for the any bankers or anybody in the banking industry to hop off. And then on this announcement, they announced that they raised something like $50 million or something, right?
Yeah, 55.
So
yeah.
I'm paid to speculate. That's basically what I do, right? As a trader, I pay to put my neck in the noose. I mean, that's just basically my life.
Just FYI, Brian, that didn't go to 0. It went to 14 sats on our chart.
Yeah,
I don't know
not quite sure about that. So
yeah, I'll take a look.
Anyway, the point that I would simply make is we had basically a big shakeout here, and maybe it did go down to 14 sats and it left just a monster tail here. I don't think so. I didn't see that anywhere else. And then I noticed that, and if assuming that this low is the low, if this is actually the real price action, this would give me serious pause here. But as I said, on other sites, when we look at it, we see that price came back down into these lows, and then they announced that financing. And so basically this entity, I guess we can't call it a company, but it's fairly cash rich. And so this is, the question ultimately is, do they go and do what Ethereum did with their financing dollars? Do you remember that mess? Where he bought like Bitcoin with it, and basically his financing that he raised, he lost basically half of the money or something like that. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, yeah. Like they were stating, because, yeah, they fundraised in a really interesting time at like $400, but then within like 3 months, we were down to like hitting the low of 160. So,
yeah, it's this apples and oranges is just kind of.
Brian, that low is legit. I'm looking at it on Bittrex.
Oh, really?
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was probably a hell of a stop run, and that's because when we had this run up here, the Polo has a lending platform. Mm-hmm. The rate for lending out XRP was 5% per day.
You're on Bittrex right now, though, so keep that in mind. You just have Poloniex highlighted on the left.
Okay. Oh, isn't that interesting?
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's gone.
So,
but yeah, it's present on Bittrex's charts on their site as well. So
okay, so on this one, on the Polo chart, we have a low here of 775 ticks. So, I don't know. I don't know whether it went down to that 14. That would seem like a hell of a drop, eh? So. Me, I don't think that was a fat finger, but I suppose if it's there, somebody, I'm sure somebody who got their fill selling at 14 probably didn't feel very good, eh? So I'm not quite sure about this, but and I have been sort of watching the Polo chart, and this actually looks a little more familiar to me. So, I guess what I'm just simply saying is, traders got to trade, traders got to, take risk. That's basically what, as traders we're paid to do. And, hopefully you guys can see the W down, up, down, breakout. This was on the financing. So, and very simply put, they come out with news. And I remember when this thing came out, I was like, oh, God damn, we were looking at it just down here. And I was kind of kicking myself, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to really hunt the reload zone. And keep in mind, that's when it was up in this area. And if we ever do get our butts back down into there, I'm going to take a real good look at this guy. So that's, basically there is that reload zone. Here we are up against all these moving averages and against this original market structure bottom. And I think, if this thing fractals here, Case, can you see the fractal that's trying to form here? You could, if we go down to sort of like a hourly chart, maybe we'll see it a little better. So you can, you've heard me talk about saucer bottoms and all that kind of stuff here. There's a cute little double bottom right there. Looks like that's a pretty sexy level right in there. And, maybe working stink bids kind of thing, maybe I'll do something along those lines. And notice the reload zone would just simply be a backing up into this original bottom down in here. I'm seriously mulling this over. I don't think I'm going to be betting the farm, but I might, a little old lady, go and buy some. We've been long this name, actually for, I guess, a couple of years now. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I think, we basically played the move up here. I think maybe even here. So, but I haven't done any more recent buying in a while, and I've been mulling this over. Look at this weekly chart. Oh my goodness. You can, in fact, this is sort of the chart that caught my attention this morning when I was talking to somebody. If we get rid of all this gobbledygook, if we just think about trying to buy against the low end of the range, and, look at this honking wick up here, right? Wicks and tails love to be eaten. Look at that. It's just like a magnet just going wow, wow, wow. And, if we, as speculators, we're paid to take risk, right? If we think, is this a risk that's worth taking? We can see that, if we just draw a range here, odds are we're probably, what do you think the odds are that reload zone lines up with those, that wick? Yeah, look at that, perfectly. So I could very easily see a counter trend rally up into here. And what is that? That's like 7,000. So off of, if you can try and sneak in there around 1,000, that's a 7-fold increase. This is very similar to sort of my ideas of playing venture capital at all, right? Is that, if M's and W's reload zones buying against lows, if maybe we're say 70%, 60, 70% accurate, and of those 60, 70%, we can get these kind of reload zone rallies where we can bang off multiple doubles, then at the end of the day, we actually are very profitable, right? So as I had said before, this is a kind of name where I would be very, very interested in taking some nibbles on. But from what I'm hearing, I don't think Alex really likes the story.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a coin built for bankers. Like,
didn't they originally, I don't know whether you saw the news, like they made a very public announcement that the banks were getting out here. And then they made a big announcement that they were doing this financing and they were going a different route here. So that's sort of my argument, that they're trying to get away from being the banker's coin. So.
Yeah. I don't know. When I was hearing discussion about the other day, I thought a really good point was I don't understand why they need a currency, or like why Ripple exists. I can understand why their network exists, but like it's all like privatized. It's supposed to, like, you use 20 Ripple to make an account, and then like with that you can hold any number of currencies. So banks are supposed to be like on-ramps for fiat to go onto this chain. So it's meant to be like the settlement platform, and I don't know. It's
I mean, it sounds to me like it's kind of a way to kind of circumvent the ACH system and wire fees and all that stuff. Maybe on huge transfers, interbank transfers. I don't know.
So it'd be interesting to see how these guys and these, I think it's Centauri Bank or something like that out of Spain, and their use of Ethereum in their banking system. It'd be really interesting to see how these two play out. Me personally, my impression is the message I'm getting from these guys is they want to get out of being quote unquote the banker's coin. But maybe I'm misinterpreting what's going on here.
Yeah, I think that's the stigma about them. Like, nobody really viewed them as a crypto. Like, oh yeah, they're the number 3 cryptocurrency. But everyone's like, yeah, no one counts Ripple. And there was actually, I guess, on their team, like there were some disagreements, and I guess one of the founders left and made his own coin, which is basically a clone of it, called Stellar. And Stellar draws a very similar chart. So you have like these two guys who both have very similar ideas. It's kind of like an ego battle almost between the two of them. I think they're in like Silicon Valley or something. This is what Jordy, Not So Fast, is kind of telling me. He's just kind of been laughing at it for years. Like, oh yeah, nobody takes Ripple seriously.
All right. Well, for whatever it's worth, audience, I'd be willing to take a shot on it.
Oh yeah, and like I bought some too. Like I had some at 1,000, and then I was just so disappointed by this retrace. I didn't even get one double out of it. I was like, this is like
only one double.
No, I didn't get even a double. It only went to like 1,900. Like I was just so disappointed.
Well, and then we often say, and I'm kind of thinking that this thing might, seasonally, I'm not really impressed with where we're headed, right? We're heading into year end here. We know what happens to venture capital in year end. Maybe this thing just sits and flounders here for the next 6 months. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But if I'm going to have some money working in the marketplace, this really, in my opinion, isn't a bad place technically to have a little bit of my money working. So. All right, what do you think? Have we given this guy enough attention for the day?
Oh, I think
I'm XRP'd out.
All right.
Let's let the ripples lie. Yeah.
All right. Ooh, ba-dum-bum.
Terribleness. Let's see. Round and round she goes. Wherever she stops, nobody knows. Oh, just missed Viacoin. Oh, DGB. DigiByte again.
Oh,
again.
I think
we can spin again.
Magnetically attracted to this game.
I say we spin again.
Okay.
We've done DGB so many times.
Another orb or another bob, because some of those coins are just hilarious. Like
they might be the ones I went and bought some of that bob, and like I said, I might have to move the damn coins off of Bittrex before Friday.
Just do some volumizing, Brian. Oh, and here we have another delisting potential. INFX. So actually, one of the guys working on this was supposed to join me on the show that I fell asleep for. So.
That was that guy, eh? Hmm.
Yeah, he's been involved with a couple projects, but he does some pretty good work. Like he always comes through for what he works on. So I'm kind of interested in finding out more about it. But the chart looks interesting too. It's kind of just broken local lows, and now it's going to historical lows.
Well, but are they searching for volume to try and stay on the exchange? Right?
Possibly, yeah.
I see a lot of that going on. Like I and the audience watching, I was putting out tweets saying this is the most buying I've done in like the past 6 months in the crypto space. There's a lot of these coins, they're just desperately seeking volume. And I'm getting some really juicy, stinky fills. But the problem is
reminds me of Christmas. It kind of reminds me of Christmas last year. Like we were coming into the end of the year and we were having like new lows on a lot of coins. Bitcoin had just done a run up, and and then it was just like the altcoin New Year. All through January, we were just having tons and tons of mooning. So this kind of feels very similar, just I guess at a different part of the season.
Yeah. All right. So and just for the person who did ask for Digi, it's not really fair that we just tell you to F off. So the big problem I have, and here's another one: 7.2 billion coins. Hey, caramba. $2.5 million market cap. So this story better be good, right? It's got to be maturing. And if I'm not mistaken, I seem to recall, and Tiger, if you're out there, maybe pop on the site and tell me, but I'm almost positive he said that this is used in some sort of video game platform right now. I suppose one could argue, traders got to trade kind of thing, aside from this insane candle here. If you are a believer in Digi and you can handle that kind of coin count, and they've got a pretty robust story. I mean, it makes sense why the coin has come down into this area and stopped going down. It looks like somebody's trying to defend these lows. And you can see some buyers are stepping up here. So there must be some sort of story going on here. We do actually have a little bit of a double bottom here. The problem I have, of course, is, too many coins out. I've got some, and, we sold, halves on double, blah, 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 on the move up here. I don't think I'll go and add to the position, but, ironically enough, kind of like Ripple, it's not bad. I mean, what I need to do as a professional at this game is just try and, what I want to impart on you guys is just trying to avoid getting sucked into the FOMO buys, right? Because the FOMO buys are what destroy your account. So you can see this thing has calmed down, and if you wanted to take your shot, If you were going to margin trade, then, or, leverage, take greater than 5% risk kind of idea, just buying the coins, then, you've got to obey. If we break these lows, you got to get the hell out of there. Maybe even risk. You notice how, actually, this is kind of cool. I think I've talked to you guys before about inside bars. So this is a beautiful inside bar after a break to new lows. So they just basically destroyed a whole bunch of margin traders and leverage traders. Then nice little quiet inside bar. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the last time we reviewed Digi, I pointed that out. And right now it's just a lot of sideways. And hopefully what you see is further developments out of these names. And like I said, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's just that video game thing just keeps coming up in my mind on this thing. All right, so that's Digi, and then the next one was INFX.
Yep, INFX.
Yeah.
All right, number of coins out. It's not a bad looking chart again. We want to survive at this game as traders, so we can't get sucked into the FOMO. If you are going to work your stink bids, work them against all of these lows, our institutional fingerprint kind of concept. And your resolve as an investor is being tested. Here are the key lows. You can see how they're bringing it back down into this level. Momentum's looking a bit tough. And then, of course, are these guys traded on various exchanges? If, we can go through, and it's actually kind of cool because I did this sort of write-up here on a coin recently, and I used this nifty tool that the boys showed me the other week. And we can see that, it's done 0.9765 BTC today, right? Is that going to be enough to keep Bill happy? I don't know. If today is 0.9766, as I think I'd said earlier, let's see if I can do this. On this charting platform, right, when you mouse over your volume, I'm going to try and unmerge this up. There we go. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a moving average on here, right? There it is. So if we go 7 bars, will that be the sort of Bittrex 7-day average daily volume over the past 7 periods? Does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at the list now, and I know some have been removed already from this. So I'm thinking it's probably the developers have contacted them, because I know in the past devs will talk with Bill after getting one of these notices and say, yeah, I'm doing this and this. Like I say, Bill. Yeah,
it looks to me like they're doing a bit of volume, and I think this is exactly what we just mentioned before. With price sitting down here and volume nothing, I think that they had to go and find some volume to keep the powers that be happy.
Well, and a lot of people, even like yourself, Brian, want to liquidate when they hear that happening. They're like, they see it as kind of a death wish or an omen or a mark.
Yeah. In fact, I know one guy, he went through one of these Bittrex delisting events and he bought a whole bunch of these little juniors, and he's like, Brian, I'm not doing this again. If any of these coins are even mentioned, I'm hitting the bid. I'm just getting out and liquidating. And, so yeah, I could see that there might be some issues there. The question is, when did that notice come out? Because that notice came out a week or two ago, didn't it?
I think last Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, so I think that if that was the case, the knee-jerk reaction, I think what happened here is that these guys basically, and I've seen this happen quite a bit. Like I said, I'm getting a lot of juicy stink bid fills on exactly something like this. I think that they just needed to go and hunt for volume, and unfortunately, all the people that had their stops against this double bottom here, they provided the liquidity to keep Bittrex happy. I think if I'm looking at this, that's the impression that I'm getting here. That's what generated this big volume interest here. So we'll see what happens. And structurally, it's not good that we broke through this low. And one could argue that anecdotally, just this kind of conversation, this isn't bullish conversation, is it? This isn't Oh, are you kidding? This thing's the next thing, best thing since sliced bread. It's going straight to the moon, right? That's what we need to get these face rip-up moves. So if on balance, the general news is, well, they've got delisting issues and, we've got to, find volume to keep it. That's not bullish. And so I could see that on the break of this structure, some people probably said, look, at the mood of the market isn't happy. We're heading into tax loss selling season. We don't need to take the chance that these guys don't perform. Let's just get the hell out of here. And I think there's probably some of that as well.
Yeah, no, it's a fair assumption. Yeah, and that's just the risk of it too. Like I think even last Christmas time too, like when we're having these lows everywhere, I think there was some delisting notices at that time, but I think it was just a lot of people just wanting to sell for like Christmas presents and tax law, all that jazz. So,
right, and we could argue too that during the summertime, and we've talked repeatedly of this, that it's a very sort of happy, optimistic time. Kids are going back to school now. They're probably losing interest in being as active in the altcoin community as possible,
Yep.
and you can all, like I said, in a weird sort of way, the Bittrex delisting event becomes, and I apologize, Bill, if you are watching this. I don't mean to harp specifically on this, but I think what's ended up actually happening is the Bittrex event becomes the catalyst to and the idea of a seasonal top and then a break and then a washing out of the market. This almost becomes the catalyst that's kicking this off for these guys. And this is with regard to the very junior part of the market, right? If we're talking, senior part of the market, we're talking like Devcon, stuff like that. These guys, they have absolutely no concerns about delistings, right? We're talking about the extreme. Oh, hi there. Who's that little Doge?
That was awesome.
Little Doge popped up there. Is Doge part of Ethereum?
It's like Vitalik's favorite coin. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
it's cute, eh?
Oh yeah.
Peekaboo. So, please, audience, understand, we're talking apples and oranges here. These are two opposite ends of the crypto spectrum here, right? And it's actually really cool to kind of watch this crypto environment build itself out, and you can see what are the sort of senior names, what are the junior names, kind of idea. So please, audience, understand, we're talking about a very specific part of the very, and what are the market cap on this can't be that much. Oh, actually, wow, is that right?
You're looking at Bitcoin right now.
Oh yeah, wrong. I'm like, what the fuck? Right, so, this is the hallmark of this very junior part of the market, guys. 1.6 million out, I love that. But keep in mind, the whole story, the whole shooting match is worth 22 grand. Right, there are guys, that, it's funny, I was talking with my futures traders the other day. I remember one day, one guy made $77,000 trading S&P futures in the pit one day. So quite literally, that means a futures trader that I know, he basically traded like 4 or 5 market caps of this one altcoin in one day.
Yeah, this is like the price of a compact car.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's the whole damn shooting match. So please, audience, understand what you're getting involved in here. I remember when I first got involved in this and I told people that I was trading this and they're like, well, you could probably get a double just, trading between the bid and offer. And I'm like, yeah, if I can do that, fuck, I'll do that all day long. But so please understand, audience, I am of the temperament. I am willing to take the shot off of here because when these crazy little venture names face rip, we can usually get multiple doubles off and it makes it worth our while taking the risk. So please understand that, audience.
Cool. Well, I think we're getting to that time, guys. You want to wrap her up a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Well, no, don't be sorry.
Do we want to sneak one more in there? What were the questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's do one more real quick.
I wanted to talk about the DevCon, so we covered that, eh? What were the other things that I threw in the chat that I wanted to talk to you guys about today?
Oh, I had to pull it up, but I know there's one coin on the wheel that I'm kind of interested in too. Disclosure, I bought some, but it's a good example of operating costs. Koval, COVAL.
All right, you got a symbol?
Yeah, COVAL.
Wow. I noticed that somebody asked me about when like stamp or stamping this thing. Wow, look at that. Wow, that's interesting. So you want to tell me what happened here on the 11th of July?
I haven't quite figured out the exact news for that one, but now there's action that apparently they're moving from their network to a counterparty asset. So now they don't really have any operating costs. Their token is just like traded on the Bitcoin blockchain. So now there's no like sell pressure being created. Yeah, maybe someone in the chat knows too. I'll ping the other guys because
you can just imagine all the people that bought into the story, and went, oh god, maybe I should get it. Okay, buy it. Okay, feeling good, and then they just got bitch slapped. Boof, right back down to the bottom here. So it clearly looks like there's some sort of floor here. I guess what numbers are we talking here? There must be a lot of coins out here, right? There's so many that Coinigy won't even post how many there are.
I'm gonna check my other data source.
265,000 market cap at 110 ticks. Should be able to do the math backwards there.
Well, the other thing you might like about this, Brian, is they were running on the RBR chain. You were like. Yeah, that's what I think it was, but no, it's not Ruby. It's Ribbits. But it was another coin that just kind of went mental upwards. So yeah, they were already like a token on another network. Now they're moving to a lower cost network. I'm just reading their AN right now. For those at home who want to learn more about the story, like Bitcoin Talk is probably the place you can get the best information. You can usually find the official thread of each coin, and yeah, it doesn't even have a whole lot of posting on it. It's only 4 pages of this forum, but they're just kind of explaining all the different aspects of it. You can find out.
Oh, it was formerly RBR?
I guess
I
so.
just read that when you were scrolling by. Wasn't that like Ribbit Rewards or something?
Yeah, but RBR is now Koval. Okay, so that's what it was. It was well, that doesn't make any sense because I know the guy is I know people who are mining RBR still, but is RBR still a ticker on Coinigy?
I'm not sure.
Nope.
No, it's not there. So I guess it is a rebranding. Okay. I thought I owned RBR.
Okay, so maybe this was the name change event. I don't know. Look on the Anon post on this thing and pull up July 11th. Sure, there was quite a few people on there that went, uh-oh.
Okay, so yeah, no, that is what happened. It is a new post, so it is Ribbits, because Ribbits, the developers moved. Now they're called Loyal with 2 L's, but I guess the old token is still trading. So it's weird. Like the company abandoned it, but then maybe this is a community takeover. Yeah,
does it say how many coins are
out? You would have to look at RBR. Why does it not say any of that? Here, let me.
Coin market cap there might have it.
Koval.
Okay, so your little request here is completely derailed us here, Alex. Whoa!
No, I'm sorry, but yeah,
I'm just playing with you. I'm just playing. So, do I understand correctly? There is 1 billion coins floating out there.
Yep, and
400 million in circulation right now. I guess that's how we look at this. So that generates. I mean, $250,000 is $250,000 is $250,000, right? So they, I would, if you are interested in this name, I would do some due diligence and go see what the hell these guys are up to. Project launches autumn 2016, so it looks like whatever they're doing, they're getting ready to rock and roll here. It might be interesting, a cryptocurrency and rewards platform. So is there some sort of incentive to be involved in this? Does that mean that it's POS or something that, that's the incentivization? I don't know. So, you know, try and figure out what this project launching is, and is that's the fundamental catalyst that's going to launch us higher.
Yeah, it was meant to be the rewards platform. So, Brian, the same way you get Canadian Tire money, yeah, you'd be getting COVALs.
Okay. So, very simply put, you know, on balance, can I fault somebody for taking a shot off of these lows here? No, that's not a bad idea. I think it makes sense that something significant happened here. And I think, you know, if you're a gambler, and obviously this is like, what is that? Is that a 1? What does that say? Low 82. So, you know, if you're going to take a shot here at 115 and do a bit of leverage, if we go and break this 82 low, I think, you know, if you're margin leverage trading, you might want to just hop off and get the hell out of there. The problem here, of course, is if you're going to be leverage trading, this liquidity might be difficult. Who knows how deep you have to go to get your fill. Little old lady, it's not a bad idea. You know, even if we just go off of this entire range, you can see where our reload zone is. What do you think the odds? Actually, look at that, see? And we often talk about how the line in the sand, 78.6 fib, often if it's lost, it then becomes, you know, sort of the breakout level. If the market can recapture that level, then away we go. So not a big surprise we've come down here. And, you know, if we zoom in on this, we'll probably see that that's basically the battle line there, right? See how that's a major resistance level there? Mm-hmm. So, you know, value hunters going and nibbling here, not a bad idea. Momentum seems to be pointing up. Volume doesn't really look bad. And like Alex said, maybe they've washed out all the sellers here. Pound the table. This thing's going to the moon. Momentum. And, you know, probably a recapture of this 200 period SMA. See how that's going to be a resistance line. But that's like 160 area. So if you maybe just like work bids down in like the 80 area, you know, against this low, I guess that's basically what these lows are. That low is 91, 90 in that area. Not a bad idea to take a shot in here. I don't think I would margin trade this. It's you know, because it just hasn't, you know, told me that it's ready to go. But little old lady, that's not a terrible idea, Alex. I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's just one of my little plays. I got bigger stuff going on, but you know, sometimes I'm just cruising charts. I hear some interesting news.
You know what this reminds me of? Don't mean to interrupt. What this reminds me of is that Steam It. Remember, Steam It had a big old run up here, and I went on their site, and I was kind of like, well, the original market bottom was down here, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have to work our way right back down to the original breakout, right? We talk about institutional fingerprints and all that, right? Where did the whales put the bottom in? Can you guys clearly see the bottom down in here, right? Yep. I mean, this is where the battle was fought and won by the bulls, right? Right in there. So, you know, and because this is kind of iffy, like I said, I'm almost feeling like this low is vulnerable. But, you know, little old lady, take a shot in here, looking for a W, you know, what is it? Even at right now, 150, a shot into the 200-300s. I think that's totally realistic. But, you know, just like that Steam It, good example, probably a great thing to leave off on. Is quite often, if these coins run up too far, too fast, they have to come right back down to the bottom. So can you see sort of the similarities in this? Oh, we've just you know, so on that last coin, I could see this thing again seasonally. We're not in the time of year where we should be really ramping up and expecting big things out of the market. Maybe this thing has to take 6 months and sort of clean itself up and put in nice solid W's, and away we go. Value investors, value hunters, I don't mind nibbling down here. So, all right, I've said my piece.
Cool. All right, well, I guess on that note, we can wrap her up. What do you say, guys?
Did I do a decent job tonight, guys?
Like
I'm sorry I was late for you. I see
Brian, you kicked ass tonight.
So all good. People in in even my lounge are like, "Where the fuck are you?"
Yeah, honestly, we were worried. I mean, just because you are so honestly impeccable as far as always on time and stuff. So
I was literally sitting on my couch at seriously, sitting on my couch at quarter to the hour, and I was sitting there going, "Don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep." And then I literally opened my eyes, and it's 6:14. Oh shit!
Well, no worries.
Yeah,
no
at
worries.
Sorry,
least you
guys.
woke up, Brian.
I apologize.
Oh yeah.
No, it's quite all right.
Cool.
All
Well, thanks again, everybody, for watching. Once again, I will say, don't forget, if you like, the charts, if you like what Brian's doing, definitely check out Coinigy.com, where you can actually sign up for a 30-day free trial and use the charts and look at all these different altcoin and Bitcoin markets. And I'll let Brian talk a little bit about his school.
Okay, well, we do run a crypto portfolio with over 100 different cryptos in it. So, for those people that are interested in just knowing where I'm long, what my levels are, like I have on Bittrex right now, and I've been buying a whole bunch recently, but I think I have probably over 20 different open orders to buy. So this site isn't primarily just the school. It is a sort of a value-added service that we provide for people who are brand new to this space and just need a little bit of guidance. We're sort of, working our way through the term. Our Q3, I guess Q4 program here is underway, and frankly, I'm stunned. Basically, the January program sold out now. It's ridiculous. So. If you are interested, get in touch with me, get in touch with our people, and get on the reservation list, because we're just about to close that down now anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was in the basically a stockbroker really is nothing more than a glorified used car salesman. So technically, I was in the sales industry for like 15, 20 years. And I've never seen anything like this before. I really haven't. I'm very, very fortunate. Anybody watching the site, you got to understand these Coinigy guys watching this video. These Coinigy guys, man, they are just top drawer. They totally support our guys. If you do take the educational program, they will literally make that trial that you're going to sign up for. They'll extend that right through your educational program on the level 1 program here at the Rational Investor. And our site people, man, they swear by Coinigy. So it's a great lead and introduction to using professional tools in this very speculative market. And just hats off to you guys at Coinigy. You guys do just a fantastic job.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Shout out to Alex. I thought this was interesting. I'm obviously, I'm here because I'm a technical analyst. And a lot of the people that I talk to come to me to either learn how to build technical analysis models and understand what the charts are telling you, and just some basic frameworks of how to behave in the marketplace. And I actually had one site member, I thought he said it really well. He says, Brian, I come to you, the Rational Investor, to learn how to build my trading plan and how to properly understand technical analysis and apply the tools. And I pop on over to Block Talk when I want to learn the fundamental story behind these coins. So it's a great little sort of model that we have here, because we're able to basically pull on people you can trust in the industry. Thank you, Coinigy. And we built such a relationship. I feel very, very comfortable in endorsing and trusting the boys at Coinigy, and that in itself is damn difficult to find in the capital markets, especially crypto, right?
Yeah, I know, totally. I mean, that's really been our mantra from day one, and it's really been, it's an uphill battle really starting out and trying to get people to kind of trust in you and your brand. Yeah. And, I mean, we're obviously from day one, I mean, we've fully disclosed who we are and where we live, and you can come knock on my door if you want, if you have a problem with me. So, we're not like anonymous, crypto devs or anything like that. We're not hiding behind cloaks or anything.
And you know, to that end, same thing with Alex. I mean, most, you know, like working in the stock market, it's all just pump, 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 right? Get the sale, close the sale, close the sale, right? Yeah. And you get lots of FOMO, and you want to get people all jazzed at the top of the market, right? Because you're shilling them your stock or your coins that you were loaded up down below, right? I mean, that's the way the capitalist process works. So I absolutely love Alex's approach. He's so down to earth. Just a top drawer guy, and like you said earlier, you know, a guy that's a scammer, you'll hold his feet to the fire. It's fun to watch you in action. So I love this sort of the camaraderie, the different angles that we approach this crypto market. I think this show is it's great stuff for the public, because you're just getting the straight goods.
Right on. And on that note,
should I shut up now?
I'm going to wrap it up a little bit, but I wanted to say on that note too, our channel's really been growing a lot. We're getting a lot more viewers also just live. So really thanks everybody. If you can, definitely, you know, share, like, and subscribe. That kind of stuff really helps us out. Really, and also just to kind of grow crypto and get the word out. You know, obviously, the more people that watch, the more participants there potentially will be in the market, and it's pretty much better for everybody. So yeah, sorry for the abrupt cutoff.
I know. I'm just a big love affair with you guys.
We love you too, Brian.
I love the enthusiasm. It's great. It carries the whole team along, and even from our audience members, we get a lot of enthusiasm in the chat. So I think that's really what we're all here for, is having people who really appreciate, or who really enjoy this marketplace, because there is so much to be happy about with not only the technology, but with the market itself, and and to celebrate meeting these cool people, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. So before anybody else continues on, I'm just going to go ahead and cut her off. So I will say thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And
you gotta like and subscribe me too. I keep forgetting to say that.
Oh yeah. Go like and subscribe Rational Investor. He's got his channel as well. So how do we get to your channel, Brian, on YouTube?
I don't do really anything free on YouTube. All the videos that I do are for the site. But on Twitter, I think I'm CR Investor. Not a bad way just to sort of keep out of the corner of your eye what I'm watching in the marketplace. And really, I just, you know, I know you're supposed to say like, subscribe, and whatever, thumbs up, and all that kind of fun stuff. So I just had to say it. Sorry.
All right. Okay. We're gonna say happy trails, and we will catch everybody 2 weeks from today at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, and sayonara, and take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye.